All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. It's Friday. We made it through another week. Hope you guys had a great week. It is Finance Friday. I wanted to go over one of the essay contest submissions by a friend named Royal. He is from the Colorado area, and he is I think he's the only one where I selected primarily for one of the questions on the essay was, if you were the Magic the Gathering, the Wizards of the Coast CEO, what would you do on your first day at job, or what would you do to reinvent the company? Whatever you want. Very creative ideas that came out of this. So I'm going to read this to you guys. Side note, the last essay that I read, the first one, cut off at 10 minutes because I was using the ultra crispy high definition 10-minute thing, and it cut off at 10 minutes. Don't worry, the very end was pretty much a few more sentences, and that was basically it. So there's nothing really that changed on that. It's not like we missed out on half of the essay or something. I've also contacted pretty much all of the finalists, and I'm going to spend some time talking to them, get to know them. What, Nick? What happened? Okay, hold on a second, real quick. Nick has a question. Say hi, Nick. All right, guys, I'm right back. Sorry about that. So, by the way, guys, this is Nutmeg. Hi, Nutmeg. She's a puppy. She's a Bichon and Poodle mix. Apparently, the wife thinks that this is a Shih Tzu mix also with Bichon. The markings, I don't know what that means. Markings, I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me. What do you guys think? Is it a Poodle Sean or I don't know. But our other puppy, Lulu, remember in the videos before, sad news, she passed away. She got hit by a car, one of our neighbor's car. And she was one of those dogs that ran around. She was a Shih Tzu, you know, very loving dog. Had a combination of, you know, catching and just playing with the balls and running around objects. This dog's a lot more timid, but Lulu would essentially, you know, she basically just always in the brink of, you know, like it just basically was a disaster always. And we thought she was controlled. She never had a situation, but she got hit and she passed away. It was very sad, and that happened last year. But nevertheless, let's focus on the essay. Let's talk about Royal's awesome essay. What would you do if you were the CEO of Wizards of the Coast? All right. The first thing to recognize when you take over a CEO for a company that has been in decline is that there is no silver bullet. There's no single product or innovation that will stem the tide of what has been put in place when you take the position. Being a leader is about passion, decisiveness, and making the difficult decisions that will shape the future of the company. It's a balance between serving your customers, shareholders, employees, and parent company. I'd be focused on growing long-term returns while sacrificing short-term gains, the opposite of what Hasbro and shareholders would like to hear or like to see, and strategy that is currently employed. Well, that's kind of a jab. That's good. For this reason, unless Hasbro and the shareholders trust my vision for the future of Wizards of the Coast and Magic the Gathering, my tenure would be short. From a strategic standpoint, my top priority would be repair the customer base and the conflicts with customer base and distribution. I will also, by the way, the last video I wasn't able to really commentary, and I'm going to start doing a little bit more of that in the end of the video, or I might during the essays too. That was a very good first paragraph. All right, next. My first task would be to address the player base and distribution. There are numerous different things that have happened over the past 5+ years that would need to be addressed. The main focal point of this discussion and apology would be card quality, distribution, local game stores, and current player base. This would be my base strategy in moving the company in a different direction of a blend of our history and future. Regarding card quality and not knowing the full scope of the details, it's difficult to conceptualize why it's gone downhill while other card games have maintained its quality. My assumption is cost. Before addressing this specific topic, it would be my due diligence to find out how and why and what can be done to correct it. I believe returning a higher card quality would be a correct decision and explaining the additional costs, raising NSPR. After the full... Hold on, guys. Baba means water. Sorry, guys, for all the interruptions. This video will probably not be of interest to people, but hold on. All right, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. Nick wanted some water. All right, second paragraph. I'll reread it again. Or the third paragraph. Regarding card quality and not knowing the full scope or details, it's difficult to conceptualize why it's gone downhill while other card games have maintained its quality. My assumption is cost. Before addressing the specific topic, I would do my due diligence on why, hows and whys, and what can be done to correct it. I believe returning to higher card quality would be a correct decision, and after explaining the additional cost, raising NSRP. Probably was MSRP. He wrote NSRP. After having the full story, I would have a fireside chat on Twitch, YouTube, Instagram Live, and Twitter about the issues and what we're doing to fix it. And not to mention the MSRP change. The MSRP change would be a later date for a future block while absorbing the costs in the current block after fixing the printing issues. Interesting. All right, that's good. Next, regarding distribution, I would again ask to speak to the second level distribution, our local game stores. What was once the backbone of our distribution, we have moved to a larger distribution methodology of utilizing big box retail as a cost savings plus new player acquisition standpoint. I think this model makes sense to get Magic the Gathering in many hands as possible, but I disagree with the execution. I think the local game stores will continue to be the backbone of Magic the Gathering for two main reasons. The player base needs somewhere to call their third-party space a home, and LGSs can be used as our feet on the street for marketing purposes. Okay? Very interesting, short and sweet. I would also apologize to directly to our local game store partners. Over the past decades, we have shifted the burden of distribution and cost to them without an equal reward of the share. I would look to fix this situation by bolstering WPN benefits via increased price support, exclusive, and incentives. To elaborate, price support would be increased to base level plus volume compensation. To make F&M or Friday Night Magic more popular again, we would involve the community directly by having them vote on what cards should be included in the next block as rewards. That's good. After voting, we would create an alternative premium art cards to help rewards to help increase traffic. Depending on the costs associated with engaging the premium cards as a reward to increase traffic, depending on the costs associated with engaging the artists, we might be doing alter spotlight. Instead, engaging with one of the many talented artists that create fan-related alterations as opposed to original artists. Interesting. Okay. In addition to this type of price support, we would run block-related prizes for F&M points, where the players can redeem their points for product including sealed boosters, binders, life counters, and playmats. Created exclusively for these prizes, only redeemable at your local game store. Another very interesting idea. Okay, that's good, Royal. In order to combat online and major retailers cutting LGSs, we would create WPN exclusive products that make sense for the current block and markets. We would revert back to master set that once again included community voting on what it should be creating a high value set similar to the original launch, injecting new life into older formats and driving down the barrier to entry. As a new type of offering, we would create a rewards program for Wizards of the Coast that would benefit both distribution and player base. Think Starbucks rewards cards. Starbucks, okay? Not the credit card version, but the actual reward card where you get a free coffee, if you're a member. I think there's like a entry-level tier and a gold tier, a silver tier or a gold tier. But tailored to Magic the Gathering. These numbers would not be applicable to online sales companies like eBay, for example, driving in extra traffic to local game stores to make purchases from singles to sealed boxes, similar to a buy a box promo. These numbers would not be applicable to online sales companies like eBay, for example, driving in traffic to local game stores to make purchases from singles to sealed box and similar buy a box promos. Okay, I had to reread that. That was a little interesting. The rewards program would give points for checking into FNMs, pre-releases, and other events, along with special daily quests to spend money at local game stores. After addressing the player base, distribution, and card quality, I would next need to tackle the paper version of the game itself. My plan here is to have an open conversation with the player base and distribution, implementing two changes that would overall affect the overall profitability, impacting the secondary market. I would make the print run numbers public, mostly public. Print ones mostly public knowledge. And reduce the number of sets each year in aggregate. Print run numbers have long been a secret from everyone not within a specific sphere of influence. I would change the mentality in our print run policy. To achieve this, I would need to heavily rely on the business intelligence tools predicting sales of set off of previous actual sales of our product, excluding what was sitting in the distributor's warehouse as dead inventory. From here, we would make a logical line in the sand and announce 4 weeks prior to the set being released a print band. We would create a printing tier sheet so everyone was aware of how much approximately will be made of a given set. Each band would have plus or minus 5% tolerance to keep such anonymity. See example below. Here's the example, guys. This is very interesting, actually. By the way, the only person to have done a graph or a pyramid. So tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. Tier 1, base amount printed. If tier 1 is sold out by a specific date, we will print X amount more. That's tier 2. Tier 3, if tier 2 is sold out by a specific date, we will print X amount more. Tier 4 is if tier 3 is sold out by a specific date, we'll print X more. If tier 4 completely sells out, we will not print any more. Interesting. Okay. Very simple, but very straightforward. You might have to go back to that, but that's very interesting. While on paper, this limits the company's upside for profitability, it will have the opposite affecting creating a scarcity of the set while simultaneously growing sales over the long term. If successful, the print runs would increase each base set's demand, player base increases. In the short term, this would create a product shortfall, which we desperately need. So he's basically saying that there's too many products. We need to focus on player demand. Thus, let's make it more rare, or make it more valuable in a way. Not have a saturation, and there'll be a long-term gain because the player base increases. All right, next, we have creating and innovating new sets doesn't have to be as complicated as it has been. There are enough rules and cards, and regurgitating some things will be harmful to the overall product and design. To achieve this, we can get customer buy-in before the set is ever released. By letting our players decide 5 to 10% of the new sets via reprints, as opposed to having non-stop spoiler hype train, no one knows better than the people playing the game. Well, amen to that. And no one knows better than the people playing the game on what needs to be reprinted, to what formats pop, drive prices down to nominal affordability, and creating a community driving hype and new set. New set ultimately drives sales. It has been proven set after set, our internal game designers do not know what the player base wants. After the reprints have been selected, it would give our team a direction on creating themes and cards that these reprints we create fresh concepts and play styles. Okay, very long paragraph there, but I think what I'm hearing from him there is the R&D, the people that are making these, there's a disconnect, right? The whole theme of disconnect with the people at WotC and the Ivory Tower and with what the players really want. And I think that he's really incorporating community interaction, real community interaction of what they want and need, and applying that to the sets. Next paragraph. The other concept I would introduce into these sets would be collaboration with successful collectible card games via crossover character cards. That is very good. It's time to realize that Magic the Gathering versus Buddy Fight or Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! The fight is all paper collectible card games versus digital games. I believe the collaboration event with other popular games will help grow all of the player bases as opposed to hurting it. That's very interesting. The window of opportunity continues to shrink as mobile gaming continues to grow, as we're fighting the customer's attention span. We need more partners in popular content-driven concepts than ever before in the next decade to keep our product relevant and sales growing. It would also help drive more customers into our flagship product via our own digital game. I think this was written before the MTG Arena announcement, so this is pretty good. Like, he's already kind of getting there. Or no, it was the MTG Arena announcement, but I'm not sure how far the $10 million injection of money announcement. Next paragraph. My most unpopular opinion will be Magic the Gathering Online and Magic Arena are mistakes and will need to be scrapped. Wow. Okay. Interesting. Needs to be cold turkey scrapped, Royal. Okay. The hardcore player base that uses these applications will be devastated, likely resulting in the loss of a small portion of our player base forever. The issue with both of these platforms, though, is that they're made for a very specific small group of players. They have no wide-scale appeal due to the complexity of MTG. Neither platform will attract new players to grow either the bottom or top line for us. The solution is to create a faster-paced esport ready game. Esport ready game. I believe a game based on the concept of having two commanders is the way to go. This is very interesting, actually. I mean, it's not going to happen because they're obviously injected tons of capital into Magic Arena and also Magic Online. It's already grandfathered in. But the idea of a more, like, scrapping those two ideas and having more of a Magic Commander style game, my question is that a digital game? I'm assuming it's more of an esport ready game, right? Like an esport game. I wonder, first off, I see what he's trying to do here. He's trying to basically make the judgment that we're going to have to sacrifice something big or something to create something more effective and something that will showcase Magic the Gathering in the complex area of the complexity of Magic by having this commander game, this idea he has. It's a very interesting idea. I'm not sure if the execution of just cold turkey scrapping it could happen quickly, but I think it has a lot of, it's definitely a consideration. Next, we have Commander Online would be stripped down to the Magic, to down the version of the Magic the Gathering with very few elements of the actual card game. It would feature a commander and RIP, intellectual property, but the gameplay would need to be radically different than the paper version of Magic the Gathering. The digital format would need to be easier to pick up, and the playtime would be a simpler rule set. The reason both of our current platforms are failing is because the barrier to entry is extremely high, and there's too many viable alternatives available. This would be our gateway into esports community by making a fast-paced, easy-to-learn, hard-to-master variant of Magic the Gathering. We would also tie in the paper version of the game by inserting redemption codes into our sealed packs for rewards to be determined at a later date. To help mitigate the fallout of scrapping both online and arena, we would come out with a new free product, Mtg Virtual. Wow. By the way, my last comment on that last paragraph, he kind of explains it. I think what he's trying to do is, he's right. I mean, Magic the Gathering is extremely complex. It's very difficult to actually, when you're following a game as like an esport or whatever, right? Esport games. There's so much going on and there's so much entertainment value, kind of like basketball, like Brian Weissman said, it's like an NBA basketball game. But to have it as like MTG Arena, it's never going to be like other esports. It's too complex. There's too much going on that require too much thinking of the players' brains, right? That as a watching, from a watching entertainment value, it can get lost very easily. It's hard to pick up. And this idea of having more of a simplistic Magic the Gathering, a quicker version, is very interesting. Next, we have Mtg Virtual. So he suggests MTG Virtual would be extremely similar to playing over Skype with a friend. However, we would use free-to-access cloud servers to play on, help with matchmaking, and hold tournaments with real prizes on this platform. We would hold something similar to a Grand Prix on this virtual environment with significant higher prize support in order to showcase this alternative way of playing Magic the Gathering for when you can't make it to your local game store. We would monetize the platform by selling avatars, black backgrounds, etc. that do not impede with the concept nor induce a paid-to-win atmosphere. This platform would allow us to partner with streaming services in Twitch, YouTube, or both to create a more online content to help drive traffic into the game. MTG Virtual would not compete with our local game stores directly, as price support would be more generic than compared to in-person events. The virtual tournament rewards would be very bland and standard, while giving all the custom high sought after products to local game stores. At some point, I need to address the secondary market, and this would be on an official level. That is, it exists, and denying the climate change exists. While I do not plan to currently I do not know how to currently execute this. I do have a plan on curbing one of the largest complaints with the reserve list by allowing proxies in tournaments. Interesting. Okay. I've actually mentioned this before. Okay, let me continue this, and I'll give my feedback. At first, we would limit them to a certain percentage of your deck in these tournaments as a test scenario to see how it could be perceived. My thoughts were be 4 cards in total to start in specific formats, When successful, the next will be monetizing the proxies by making them official Magic the Gathering proxy packs and cards. These cards will have different backgrounds, art and cardstock to denote that they will be different, and there's no possible way of rebacking them. Official cards. Allowing official proxies would allow more people to access different formats, alternatively driving sales on the secondary market. Now, okay, the problem with that is Wizards doesn't want to drive sales to the secondary market, but I think what you're saying here is by you as CEO, you would admit that there is a secondary market and it's important to embrace it, and in the sense that it has affected our prices for cards for people to play, the entry point. And I really like this proxy idea. I've been saying this for a while in like old school and other things, but I just don't understand why in like tournament poker, why don't they have they have fake chips basically. They're not worth anything, a monetary value. And why don't they do that for Magic? Is it logistically too hard? I don't see why it would cost anything really. I mean, you could charge the player for those proxies or something, make them like official proxies. But I feel like there's really a systemic problem with not, it's kind of, you're capping the player base, right? You're affecting the player base so much because there's people that want to play in other formats like Legacy, Vintage, and Modern even. Modern is getting really expensive. And sometimes Commander. Why don't you negate this problem, just basically modernize your system, right? Reinvent the system that is, that has been kind of, in a way, been really difficult for people to come in and play, and have these proxy tournament just tournament cards for these tournaments. A good point. All right, so next two paragraphs. The reserve list is also a constant debated topic between the haves and have-nots. I believe the reserve list is important to the collectability aspect of the game, and I would make the decision to start expanding it. So this is kind of what Rudy has said. Rudy has said that before. Similar to LGS promos and sets, we would engage our customer base on what to put on the reserve list and have community votes. We would engage the customer base on what should, by leaving this, We would engage the customer base on what should be on the reserve list by having community votes, but leaving the decision ultimately up to the company. When each set rotates out of the standard block, we would announce which cards we put on the reserve list. I would limit the amount of cards to the range of 2 to 7 per set, while having some sets being exempt from this rule. Our core and reprint sets would not have cards added to the reserve list. Lastly, I believe in executing many effective strategies and bolstering our product, supply chain, customer service in a transparent way that drive growth and customer confidence, top-line sales with a sacrifice of bottom sales in the short term. There is no quick fix to this problem. There's no quick fix to the situation, as it took many missteps to get to where we are now as a company. Where words fall on deaf ears and our customers, our actions will speak volumes to the commitment to keeping the Magic the Gathering the single greatest collectible card game in history. All right, Royal, I got to put down my Diet Coke. This was very, very, very good. I'm going to do this. I'm going to pan real quick so you guys can see the length. Just so you can see it. But I want you guys to maybe stop and read it, or I mean, it's I have to say it's probably one of the best well-written ones I've seen. It's definitely the best CEO one that I've seen so far. What are your guys' thoughts? Put it in the comments below. This is obviously an incredibly complicated topic. There's so much that Royal mentioned that makes a lot of sense.
Some of it obviously is very difficult to execute. I wonder if anybody from WotC will actually read any of this or listen to anything I have to say about this or Royal has to say about this. Because, to be honest, this is coming from someone, by the way, who works in the business world. He's an analyst, a business analyst. And he looks at spreadsheets and different analysis of different things. And he's obviously very, very smart, well-versed, qualified to discuss some of these issues. I gotta say, if he doesn't win, I haven't decided the winner yet. I would still like to meet him because this is a very complex topic. Just a great topic, great essay. Thank you, Royal. Guys, thank you so much. Finance Friday. This was a long-winded one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Take care.